everybody, this is Kohdok here, and today we're going to talk about a few toy-based video games. Now, I've had Skylanders on the show before. I've talked about how it's a game that uses the figures on this portal to actually enter the video game, and it's been a really popular franchise. It recently became a billion-dollar property. It's that big, and Skylanders has attracted a lot of attention because of how much money it's made, and also because it's a pretty safe franchise. I mean, because of the outside parts, it's pretty much impossible to pirate, and because of how advanced and special the technology is, it's been pretty hard to imitate. It would be kind of hard to attract a competitor unless it takes a really large investment or from a large competing company. Disney is a very large company, and they recently put out a game called Disney Infinity, which uses a similar sort of character toy portal into game concept. So this video is going to be Skylanders Swap Force versus Disney Infinity. Now, before I get started, I do have to point out that they are, in fact, very different games. Skylanders Swap Force is an action-adventure game where you go through the levels, you'll beat up the bad guys, and you solve the puzzles to get to the end, whereas Disney Infinity is more of a sandbox creation game where you have a big world that you have to explore around in order to find missions and stuff to do, and you can also build your own world, kind of like Minecraft or Grand Theft Auto. A G-rated Grand Theft Auto. Most of the time. But still, the two games do have one thing in common, in that they are both very large investments. They're both, with all the figures and all the accessories for them, it can cost a lot of money just to get one of these games. So it's pretty understandable that you'd have to pick just one. So let's go over the pros and cons of both. Let's start with Skylanders Swap Force. Skylanders Swap Force is the third game in the iteration of the Skylanders series. The Skylanders series thrives on not only its ability to quickly change out characters, but for the sheer variety of characters you can play as. There have been over 60 characters made for this game, and the number just keeps on growing. Each one has their own amazing abilities, which makes them a real blast to play, and Swap Force builds upon that with the swapping characters. What happens is these characters are attached by a couple of magnets, and they can each swap their body parts, which sounds like a cute idea, but really, when you look at it externally, it's like, oh, which forward dashing attack is my character going to have? And it seems kind of superficial, but if you level it up a bit and get them some upgrades, that's when things start to get interesting, because the bottom halves of each of these Swap Force characters actually has a stat boost, which gets applied to the top half. For example, Magna Charge's wheel here doubles the speed of whatever character it's onto. So it's alternating these sorts of stats around, kind of like an equip item, onto the top half, which really makes things a bit more interesting. Now, the game does come with a new portal in order to be able to read these splitting up characters properly, but the new portal still works just fine. Just like in Skylanders Giants, you can use all of your older characters from the previous games on this new portal. And something else I've tested is this new portal works for the old games. So you only have to have one portal lying around. You can use this one to play Skylanders Giants with. The only thing that doesn't transfer forward is the old adventure packs, the ones that came out in Spyro's Adventure and unlock a new level for your character to play. These don't work anymore. They still perform their major super attack, but they don't unlock the levels like they used to. I heard it's because of the jumping, but, you know, that's something like that. Something else you might have noticed about these Swap Force characters is that they have a little movement icon on their bottom halves. Now, the movement icons are a bit of a problem, and they were very obviously put in service of the brand, because what these movement icons do is they're kind of like the elemental icons, but rather than unlocking new areas to explore, which was kind of what I was expecting, instead they unlock mini-games. And frankly, they're not very good mini-games. Any of you who watched my Skylanders Swap Force Let's Play video of the first level discovered that when I was playing those levels, that I really wasn't having any fun doing it. And that's actually kind of the problem with this game. This game seems to love to destroy its own enjoyment factor. Let me give the perfect example of this. Okay, level 3. Pretty early on, so I'm not really spoiling the story. Chaos has summoned his minions and sent them to attack a water god with this corrupting gunk that will supposedly turn him evil. I mean, you actually see it. It's starting to happen. His attack is taking place. It's great, you know? You have this sense of tension, this sense of urgency. I'm skipping past enemies and I'm gonna go save this guy and stuff. But then they chose the one mini game, the one game mechanic out of the hundreds of mechanics out there that is absolutely guaranteed to destroy any tension whatsoever. They make you go fishing. I'm not even kidding. They make you go fishing when this water god is being sprayed by corrupted gunk. Yep, the Zubat or water god's being under attack, you better grab this fishing pole. Remember that other time that some fishing levels were added to a major action title? Remember what the reception to that was? That's really the game's problem. It doesn't really know how to really set or maintain a good, exciting mood a lot of the times. Like that fishing example, for instance. You know, even the characters kind of destroy the mood. I mean, Callie was kind of annoying, but Tessa is just unbearable. It's kind of bad when Flynn has to be the straight man of the comedy duo.
You know what your problem is? You rely too much on maps and machines to find your way. You ignore your instincts.
I happen to like machines, and ignoring my instincts is the only reason I'm even getting on this bird.
And the mini games I mentioned before with these movement types, the games are incredibly tedious and really unforgiving. They don't really seem to have the skill level or the character level accounted into them when they're designed. I mean, it's okay to play them on their own when you're not really focusing on completing the story, but since you have to beat them in the story mode first, it's another thing that completely breaks the tension and makes it kind of unenjoyable. Another thing is they've enhanced the graphics. They've made everything all high definition and really clear and stuff, and you know, that's nice, but graphics isn't everything. I mean, look at how popular Minecraft is, and it's all about looking pixelated. That and they seem to have cranked up the saturation a whole lot. I mean, I guess it's in response to the big complaint that all these games that have been made lately are all colored brown, gray, and various gradients within. But the opposite isn't exactly the best thing either. Look everybody, I'm in Swap Force! But don't get me wrong, Skylanders Swap Force is at its absolute best when it plays like the previous two Skylanders games, when you're going around and beating up the bad guys and solving the puzzles. That is really where a lot of the joy of Skylanders comes from, but that's part of the problem, is that this game, it's crammed in so many new features and that it's really kind of pushed out a lot of the fun. But on the other hand, if you already have a Skylanders game and you just want to move your characters forward, then this is a good game if you already have the previous two. If you haven't played Giants yet, I'd say grab that game first. You can use the characters with the orange bases or the green bases with them, and it's a more fun game than Swap Force. I'd say play that first if you haven't played it. And then we have Disney Infinity, the first real competition that Skylanders Swap Force has faced. To tell the truth, I honestly didn't expect that much from Disney Infinity. I thought it would just be kind of a silly cash-in on Skylanders' popularity, and I kind of judged the fact that everything for Disney Infinity costs more than the basic equivalent for Skylanders would have just completely blown it out of the water. But I've been genuinely surprised. Disney Infinity's done a really great job. Now, like I said before, Disney Infinity is very different from Skylanders Swap Force in that it is a sandbox game. Rather than the start-to-finish levels you get in Skylanders Swap Force, the levels in Disney Infinity aren't really levels as much as they are worlds that you have to explore and find quests to do. The different worlds are essentially their own miniature game, and this Disney Infinity basically only has 6 games in it. The starter set comes with 3 of these play sets, as the game calls these different levels, and each one offers a fairly different idea. The Incredibles level is all about combat, robots, and stopping crime and stuff like that. The Monsters University one is all about sneaking and scaring people in various campus hijinks. And the Pirates of the Caribbean level is all about the massive exploration in this giant ocean world around the islands. It's a fairly decent sample of the kind of variety you can get with Infinity, and they also sell additional level packs, like the Lone Ranger one, which is all about expansion and exploration, and it's such a big world that you actually have to get some horses in order to explore it properly. An additional feature they have is that they sell these little power discs. These little power discs unlock little special power-ups or items or backdrops that you can use in your game. Now, these in-game levels, they're okay, but frankly, they're a bit bland as far as games are concerned. It kind of feels like 6 half-finished games crammed together to make one thing. The game also seems to suffer from basically cribbing a whole bunch of ideas from other games, but not really understanding why those mechanics work or how to put a game together from scratch. I mean, the entire idea of having the different toys that can be put on this base that level up as you go along. That's very obviously cribbed directly from Swap Force, but I don't know how much it benefits here. I mean, the characters level up, but leveling up doesn't change anything about the characters at all. They don't gain any new powers by leveling up, or more hit points, or more attack power, at least that I've noticed. And even if they do, there's no way of actually seeing that or being able to tell. Now, leveling up your characters does do one thing. It unlocks you a free spin in the Toy Box Vault. The Toy Box is the bread and butter of this game. A lot like Minecraft, the Toy Box basically enables you to build your own Disneyland. You can unlock different areas and walls and textures and castles and buildings and stuff by using these spins you level up for the characters, or in my case, find a workaround exploit in the game's programming. But really, the Toy Box is incredibly addicting. It is the most fun thing in Disney Infinity, and really the only reason you'll grind through the otherwise kind of bland levels would be to earn more stuff to use in the Toy Box. That's basically your big motivation for completing these smaller games in here. On the Toy Box, you can build racetracks, you can build castles, you can build entire things. I've already done a video about the first real park I made in this game, and right now I'm working on a massive, crazy racetrack. But still, the game is pretty darn obnoxious about asking for money. They basically expect you to buy a copy of every single character out there so that you unlock everything in the game. You have to unlock these huge vaults in order to do that. You have to have all the characters. There's other different various character chests lying around. The only way to get more spins if you don't use the workaround would be to max level up the characters, but then go and buy more characters to level up to get more spins. You basically have to buy the Lone Ranger pack, the other big packs, all the characters, and some of the power discs to get workable terrain customization in the Toy Box other than grass, slightly different grass, and slightly more differenter grass. Now, don't get me wrong, both of these games are obnoxious about asking for money, but between the power discs and the fact that they deliberately give you a short connection cable for their portal so that they can sell you an extension cord for it, Disney Infinity is far more obnoxious about asking for money. But it's not all bad. I find the Lone Ranger level to be pretty enjoyable, and they're constantly putting up new little toy boxes that people either officially from the company or that people online have created, so there's always a constant flow of new content, which isn't too bad. Some improvements to Disney Infinity would probably be better variety. I mean, as the game is, based on the 6 levels it has, it might as well be called Pixar and live-action movies starring Johnny Depp Infinity, because that's all the selectable levels you get. I mean, sure, there's some additional characters, but none of them get their own level pack. You could do some stuff from the Disney's Renaissance, like Beauty and the Beast. Like a Beauty and the Beast theme level that lets you play as Beast, Belle, and Gaston, I think folks would be all over. And you know what? What about Sora? Why isn't the one character whose entire shtick is bouncing between all the different Disney universes not in this game? Disney has some stake in Kingdom Hearts, right? They should at least try. But the thing about this game that I find tends to be a make or break moment is the fact that you cannot take these characters into other worlds. So, not even if you, like, clear the entire story. So, this means I cannot use Lightning McQueen to drive around Metro City, and I can never use Mr. Incredible to throw a pirate overboard into the ocean, because they don't allow you to do that. I mean, that's something you should be able to do in future releases, would be to make that like sort of a prize for clearing the entire story mode or 100%ing it or something, is that now you can play in this world as all the Disney Infinity characters. I think people would also be really on board with that because, you know, honestly, having Mr. Incredible throw pirates overboard and beat up a bunch of pirates and throw them into the ocean, that was the one thing I wanted to do in Disney Infinity, but because there's no water in the toy box and I can't take Mr. Incredible into the Pirates levels, I can't do that. So much for that whole no rules proposal. So basically, what does it boil down to? Which game do I personally think is better? Now, while I admit Swap Force does have the added appeal of letting me be able to use all of my previous Skylanders, I actually like Infinity a little bit better, even though it's still a bit buggy and has a lot of things that are just cribbed directly from games without even much thought put into them, but it's because it's a different kind of experience. I haven't really had the chance to play Minecraft, but the idea of the toy box is that it's basically Disney-themed Minecraft in high definition with very nicely done textures. So I kind of like how they've done something a bit different with Disney Infinity, and really the clinching moment was the fact that Skylanders Swap Force isn't as fun as Giants. If you have never bought or played a Skylanders game before, go and get Giants along with a few of the characters that have the orange bases or the green bases, like that, and that will let you get a better inkling of what the game is like. A lot of Skylanders Giants things are on sale right now because of Swap Force being out, and sometimes they'll even let you get both games at once. So if you don't want to get Infinity and you're interested in Skylanders, I'd say get Skylanders Giants. But personally, between these two games, it's definitely Infinity that you want to try out. So that is Disney Infinity versus Skylanders Swap Force, and this is Kohdok signing off.